There is a specific kind of emptiness that arrives after success, not failure, success. After the goal is reached, after the life looks the way it was supposed to look, after the version of yourself you worked toward for years is finally, actually standing here. And the emptiness doesn't make any sense. And that's exactly what makes it so hard to live with. I want to talk about something that almost never gets said directly. The relationship between achievement and the meaning is not what most men think it is. For most of the first half of life, achievement and meaning, they travel together. The goal pursued feels meaningful, right? The progress toward it feels like the life is going somewhere real. And so, a man assumes, reasonably, understandably, that the arrival will feel even more meaningful than the pursuit. And he thinks that when he finally gets there, when the life looks the way he worked for it to look, the sense of meaning will be at its fullest. But for a lot of men, quietly, without warning, something different happens. The arrival comes, and the meaning doesn't arrive with it. Or it arrives briefly, for days, weeks, and then it recedes. And what's left is a life that looks correct from every external angle and feels from the inside oddly hollow. I think this experience is far more common than the word acknowledges, because the world doesn't give man permission to say it. I achieved what I worked for, and I feel empty. That sentence sounds like ingratitude, like a problem with the man, not with the model. So, men don't say it. They keep moving. They take on more. Or they go quiet in ways that people around them mistake for contentment. And underneath the quiet is the specific, persistent, deeply confusing flatness. The days pass. The responsibilities are met. The life continues in all its appropriate ways. And something that used to be there, some quality of aliveness, some sense that the movement had a direction, is noticeably absent. Maybe you felt this, not as a crisis, not as a collapse, just as a particularly, let's say, a particular quality of gray that sits between everything, even on the days when nothing is wrong. But there is a strange part, the meaninglessness that arrives after success. It's not a sign that the success was wrong. It's not evidence that the man chose badly or worked toward the wrong things or built the wrong life. Most men assume this, and it's the assumption that hurts them most, because it sends them looking for a different goal, a better achievement, a more meaningful version of success. But the truth is deeper than that, because what's actually happening has nothing to do with the specific success. It's structural. The model itself, the one that says achievement produces meaning, that one is the thing that failed. Not because achievement is bad, but because achievement was never designed to produce meaning. Achievement produces satisfaction, temporary, real, and legitimate satisfaction. But meaning is a different thing entirely. And most men arrive at midlife having spent 20 years optimizing for satisfaction without ever understanding what meaning actually requires. Here is the distinction that I think matters most. Satisfaction comes from completing things, reaching the goal, solving the problem, closing the gap between where you were and where you wanted to be. And that completion produces a real internal response, a genuine, measurable sense of having done something. But it fades. It fades by design. By design, it fades. Because satisfaction is about the gap closing. And once the gap is closed, the satisfaction ends. Meaning is different. Meaning doesn't come from closing gaps. It comes from connection. Connection between what you're doing and what you genuinely care about. Connection between the daily choices and the values that actually run your life from the inside. And the connection between who you are in a given moment and the version of yourself that feels most honest and most real. And here is what achievement by itself cannot guarantee. It cannot guarantee that the goal you worked toward was connected to what you genuinely care about. It can only confirm that you reached it. Yes, that it can confirm. It can only confirm that you reached it. And this is where things become even more interesting. Because a man can work for 20 years toward a goal. And I mean with real effort, real sacrifice, real commitment. And arrive to find that the goal was inherited, borrowed from culture, from parents, from the image of success he absorbed before he was old enough to question it. And in that inherited goal, reached successfully, yes, that one produces satisfaction, but not meaning, because meaning requires that the connection be genuine. And the thing you are doing actually matters to you, not the image, not the expectation, not the actual person living the life. So, something changes when you are after 40, and something changes after 50. And what changes is something that makes the meaninglessness harder to outrun. The next goal becomes less convincing. When you're younger, the promise of the next level, can carry enough energy to breach the emptiness. This didn't satisfy me, but the next thing will. You think like that, and you believe it, because you haven't seen enough cycles yet. But after 40, after 50, after enough goals reached, You reached enough goals and satisfactions also. You reached enough cycles of goals, of satisfaction, and that satisfaction didn't hold. And so now the promise starts to ring hollow. The next goal now looks the same as the last one. The same structure, the same arc, the same brief satisfaction followed by the same return to the question. What is this actually for? What is this actually for? And most men at this point make one of two mistakes. They either push harder, more achievement, more optimization, trying to find a version of success that will finally hold. Or they give up on meaning entirely, settle into the comfortable numbness of a life that doesn't ask too much of them. Both of those are ways of avoiding the actual thing the emptiness is pointing at, which is not a new goal, but a new question. Here is what meaning actually requires. And I say this carefully because I think most discussions about meaning make it sound either too grand or too vague. Now, meaning requires three things. The first is genuinely, I would say, genuine values. Yes. Genuinely embracing your values. Not the values you perform, not the ones that look good in a mission statement. The ones that actually drive your decisions when no one is watching and nothing needs to be justified. The second is alignment. Alignment. The experience of your daily choices being in a reasonable agreement with those values. Not perfectly, but enough. Enough that when you look at how you're spending your time and attention, you can see yourself in it. And the third one, the one most men never develop, is presence. Presence. The ability to actually be inside the life you're living. Not managing it. Not planning the next version of it. Actually there, receiving what's happening. Letting the people and the moments and the ordinary details actually register. Because meaning doesn't live in the destination. It lives in the quality of attention brought to the journey. And most men, in the pursuit of achievement, they develop everything except that quality of attention. And so they become extraordinarily good at getting places and never quite learn how to be in them. So, let me ask you something. When you think about your days, the actual texture of how you spend your time, how much of it feels genuinely connected to what you actually care about? not what you are supposed to care about, not what the role requires, what you specifically actually care about. For some men, the honest answer is quite a lot. And that's real. That's worth acknowledging. But for many men who have built successful lives and still feel the gray behind everything, the honest answer is not enough. Not enough of the day connects to something that feels genuinely theirs. Not enough of the work touches something that actually moves them. Not enough of the time is spent in the quality of presence that will make the ordinary feel worth being inside. And if that's true, if the gap between what you do and what you care about is wider than you'd like to admit, that gap is where the meaninglessness is coming from. Not from the success being wrong, from the connection being missing. And connection, unlike achievement, is something you can begin building today. You can start now, in the next conversation, in the next hour, in the next honest choices about where your attention goes. Life starts feeling meaningless after success. Not because success is a lie, but because success was solving the wrong equation. The equation of achievement, which is real and necessary and worth pursuing, but which was never designed to answer the deeper question underneath. The question of whether the life being built is genuinely connected to the present, building it. Whether the days add up to something that the man at the center of them can honestly recognize as his. And that question, the one the meaninglessness is actually asking, can only be answered from the inside. From the inside, not by a new goal, not by more achievement, not by a better version of the same model, but by the slow, honest, daily work of bringing your actual self into actual contact with your actual life. That's what meaning is made of. Not grand purpose, not legacy, just the quiet of genuine presence in the life that is already here. I've come to think as the meaninglessness as one of the more honest things that can happen to a man, because it tells the truth. It tells the truth about where the connection is missing, about where the self has been absent from its own life, about what the years of achievement were in service of, and whether that service was genuinely his. And a man who listens to that truth, who doesn't run from it, or manage it, or replace it with the next goal, he tends to build something in the years that follow that the first half couldn't have produced. Not more successful, more his, more alive in the specific, quiet, unglamorous way that only comes from a man who stopped optimizing his life and started actually living it. This is what I wanted to share with you today. Let me know what you think in the comments. And let me know if you liked this video by hitting the like button. And if you subscribe, you will be notified when I will publish the next video, and let's meet there. You will find the next video here. I see you there.